So slope is dealing with, this is the whole chapter 4. We're going to graph lines. We're going to deal with all this kinds of things with slope. Slope is represented by the letter M. Okay. M. And it can be figured out a few different ways. So I'm going to write them all in our notes. Okay. Let me look at that 1 second. Okay. Slope is known as your rise over your run. Okay, I'll say that a lot. Rise over run, rise over run. I'll say it multiple times. Okay, otherwise known as your change in y over your change in x. Okay, so change in y over change in x. Now, sometimes people like to put a formula to that. So I think some of you last year when you had Mr. Kofed, you guys did some of this stuff. You probably did y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I just leave it as y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Now, those are subscripts. That just means your first y, your second y, your first x, your second x. When we do examples, that'll make more sense. Okay. Now I want you to draw 4 different graphs on your paper, and we're going to label them. Okay, so I'm going to draw a graph that looks like this. Then I'm going to draw a graph that looks like this. Then I'm going to draw a graph straight over. And then I'm going to draw a graph straight up and down. Okay, and now we're going to give labels to those graphs. So what I always tell everyone is pretend you have like a little Matchbox car and you're driving your car from left to right. So you're starting on this side of the paper, just like how we read left to right. We're gonna start here with our little Matchbox pretend car, and I'm gonna go on that line. Ask yourself, did I go up a hill or did I go down a hill? On this one, I went up a hill. So this is going to be a positive slope because I went up. So this is a positive slope. Okay, again, take your little Matchbox car, left to right, ride this line. That went downhill, so this is a negative slope. Okay, those are usually the easy ones. Then we come over here. Again, still gonna take my little Matchbox car, left to right. What was my slope? So my slope, I didn't go up any, okay? So it's like around here. Do we have any slopes around here? No, we don't even have snow hills this year right now. So we don't have a slope. This is a 0 slope. There is no slope, it's flat. Just like around here, flat land. Okay, and again, I'm gonna take my Matchbox car, try to go from left to right. I can't even go from left to right. Here, my Matchbox car just goes, okay? It's so vicious, but you don't exist anymore. So this is an undefined slope. And that's just my silly way of remembering which one's which. So if you're falling off a cliff, is what I always say this is, you don't exist anymore, you're undefined, okay? But if you're riding nicely on flat land, that's a 0 slope because it's not going uphill, it's not going downhill. Okay, so those are your 4 types of slope. Now, there's many ways that we're gonna be able to find slope. So we're gonna have, sometimes they'll give us 2 points and we have to find the slope. Sometimes they'll give us a graph and then we have to find the slope. Sometimes they'll give us a table and then we have to find the slope. So depending on what they give us, that's what we have to do to find the slope. So our first example is if they give us 2 points. So they give us the points 4, 5, and 7, 12. Okay, let's say they give us those 2 points, 4, 5, and 7, 12. Okay, so because I have the 2 points, I'm going to put it into the formula. So I have m equals, because I want to know what my slope is, m is slope. M equals. My formula says y, change in y. So I have to take one of my y's, subtract my other y. I always take from the first point and then go to the second point. Some of you probably take from the second point and then go to the first point. Either one is fine as long as you keep it consistent. So if you took from this point first on your y's, you better take from this point first on your x's. Okay, so I'm gonna say my first y is this 5, because remember this is x, y, x, y. So my first y is 5, so 5 minus my other y, which is 12, over my first x, which is 4, minus my other x, which is 7. So change in y over change in x. So 5 minus 12 gives me a negative 7. 4 minus 7 gives me a negative 3. Okay? Try to simplify this fraction if you can. Do not change it into a decimal. That's not going to help you because we're going to be graphing these later. You're going to need to leave them as a fraction. Well, I see a negative over a negative, which makes a positive. And there's no numbers that go into both 7 and 3. So I'm going to leave 7 over 3 by themselves. So 7/3. I should try to draw that nicer. 7 over 3. Okay. So when they gave us 2 points, I put it into the formula. I found that my slope was 7/3. Now I'm going to erase these and do some more. The next example is when they give us a graph. Okay, so I'm going to try to draw a nice graph. Okay, I'm trying to draw a nice graph that you can see across the y-axis at 3 and the x-axis at 2, okay? So that way we're all on the same page. If they give us a graph, generally they'll have 2 nice big points marked. If they don't, find 2 points on the graph, that's fine, okay? Now, could you do, so I could find these 2 points. This is 0, 3 and 2, 0. We know that. I could figure that out with that information, just like I did on my last problem. So if you want to go ahead and do it with the formula, you sure can. But the other way is if they give us the graph, remember slope is rise over run. So we need to figure out from this point to this point, how many we went up and how many we went over, okay? So from one point to the other, how many right here? How many is my rise? How many did I go up? I went 1, 2, 3. So my rise is 3. Okay, and I use purple. I know you can't see it as well. And my run from here to here, running is horizontal. How many blocks are in between there? 1, 2. So that's 2. Okay, so now I'm going to put that in rise over run. So I have 3 over 2. Okay. The other part to this is if it's a graph, you have to ask yourself, if I'm that little Matchbox car, am I going uphill or am I going downhill? So from left to right, going downhill. So this is a negative 3 over 2. Now, if you did the math, these are going to work out exactly the same. Okay, so you can pick. If they give you a graph, you can either just go ahead and do the math way, or you can do the rise over run way. Okay, that's what I want in your notes. So now I want a different piece of paper out so that we can start our assignment. Okay, so go ahead and get a different piece of paper out. Okay, number 1 on page 119. Number 1 says, the slope of a line is the rise over the what? Anybody?
Run.
Good. Nice. Number 2, Draw a line for each one. We want a slope of 0. Remember, that's like around here. So straight across. Then they ask for a slope of an undefined slope. Remember, that's like if you fell off the cliff, straight up and down. Okay, then they want a positive slope. And then they want a negative slope. So we just got done drawing those in our notes, and now we're drawing them again for number 2. Okay, number 3. Find the slope of the line that passes through each pair of points. So now they're giving us a pair of points, and we have to put them into our formula and solve. Okay, here we go. 0, 3, and 6, 1. Okay, remember M equals y minus y. So 3 minus 1 over 0 minus 6. 3 minus 1 is 2. 0 minus 6 is negative 6. Okay, we need to simplify this if we can. What goes into both 2 and 6? A 2, right? Okay, so I'm going to take out a 2. That would be 1 over negative 3. Leave it as a fraction. Now, some of you are probably asking, is it okay if I put my negative? Okay, so I'm going to show you right now. If you have the negative on the outside of your fraction, that's fine. If you put your negative on the numerator, that's fine. And if you put your negative on the denominator, that's fine. All of these things are the exact same thing. So if you put your negative sign on the outside, if you put your negative sign on the numerator, if you put your negative sign on the denominator, just something we don't talk about enough. But remember that you only need one negative sign, because if you had 2, then they would cancel each other out, because it'd be a negative over negative, which would make a positive. So remember, 1 negative sign on those. Okay, so I'm going to erase, and we're going to do number 4. Number 4, they give us the points 2, 2, and 6, negative 1. Yep. So M equals, remember, y minus y. So 2 minus negative 1. Leave it like that for now. We're going to simplify that in a second. Okay, x minus x, 2 minus 6. Okay, so I know some of you are itching to get rid of that minus by the minus. There's 2 minuses by each other. Remember, they connect up, make a big plus. So that's 2 plus 1, which is 3. And then 2 minus 6 is negative 4. Nothing goes into both 3 and 4 to make this any simpler than it already is. And it's just one negative sign, so we are good. This is a negative 3/4 slope. So if I was drawing that line, it would be in the negative direction. So that Matchbox car would be going downhill. Okay, number 5. Hard for me to do because I can't really project the image. We'll do the best we can. I'll try to draw it. Okay, so we have this line, and we want to find the slope. We want to find the rise over the run. So remember, from one point to the other, let's see how many up and how many over we can go. Okay, so how many up, how many places, how many boxes between this point and this point? So if we count, we got 1, 2, 3. Does everyone agree with me? Do you see that that rise right here is 3? So we're going to put 3 as our rise. And our run from here to here, okay, because we went from that point to that point, our run this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So So I have 3 over 5. Okay, next question you have to ask yourself when it's a graph, that little matchbox car from left to right, am I going uphill or am I going downhill? This one I'm going uphill, so this is a positive 3/5. So I went up 3 over 5. Rise over run. Okay, so number 6, I'm not going to draw it. I'm going to try to just verbally do it with you. From one point to the other, how many did we rise from that one point to the other point? How many did it go up? Anybody? On number 6.
1.
1, good. Okay, how many did it run from one point to the other point?
4.
4, good. And then you have to ask yourself, if I was that matchbox car, from left to right, am I going uphill or am I going downhill?
Downhill.
Downhill, so that is a negative 1/4. Okay, let's look at number 7. Should have it up on your screen. From one point to the other, I'm gonna pick on Grace. I'm gonna pick on you. How many up did it go?
3.
Look again. I know it's hard to see. From that one point to the other point. Not from the axes, from the point to the point. Only went up
Oh. 2.
2. Good. And then how many did it run, Grace? This way?
1.
1. Good. 2 over 1. Then ask yourself, is that going uphill or downhill? That's going uphill. So you could leave that 2 over 1, or you could just write that as 2. Either one of those is acceptable for your answer. Okay. So now you're actually going to have to go into the next screenshot to see the next problems. So close out of that one and go and open the next screenshot. And I will erase this. Okay. Number 8 is telling us to graph it and then find the slope. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to have you just find the slope. Okay. So with a table, that's a whole bunch of different ordered pairs. So they actually give you 4 different ordered pairs. We only need 2 of them in order to find our slope. So we get to pick our favorite 2. We don't really care which 2. It doesn't matter which 2. You just get to pick it and solve. So I'm going to pick 5, 0, just because I want to. And I like when there's zeros in them. That's why I always pick that. And why not 6, 2 right next to it? So you get to pick your 2. It doesn't matter. Okay. M equals, remember, y minus y. So I have 0 minus 2. Okay. Then I have 5 minus 6, which is my x minus my x. 0 minus 2 is a negative 2. 5 minus 6 is a negative 1. I see a negative over negative, that makes a positive, so I could leave it as 2 over 1 or just plain 2. Either one is acceptable. I'll accept the 2 over 1 or the 2. I will not accept the negative negative because that's not simplified. Okay. Number 9, we're going to pick 2 random points out of that table. I'm going to look and see who's all here. Destiny, pick 2 points out of that table on number 9.
Negative 1 and 2.
Negative 1, 2. Love it. And what do you want for the other one?
Negative 2 and 3.
Okay. Okay, M equals y minus y, 2 minus 3. Okay, X minus X, -1 minus a -2. Okay, remember two negatives by each other. That's going to connect up and make a big plus. 2 minus 3 is -1. -1 plus 2 is 1. Now I could leave it like that, or I could just say -1. Either way. Okay, number 10. Number 10 says, the graph at the right shows the amount of rice at a store has in stock at different times. Use the slope to describe how the amount of rice changes over time. So first of all, let's find our slope with number 10. So if you look at number 10, the first point on that graph is at 25 because it's between that 20 and 30 right in the middle. So that's 25. Now, if I go over to week 1, it's at 20. So what's the difference between 25 and 20?
1.
25 and 20?
5.
5, yep. And then it is over 1 week. So my slope is 5 over 1. But I also have to look at that graph and ask myself, is that going up or is that going down? So that is a -5 for my slope. So my M is -5. Okay, but now I need to say what M really represents. Well, with this graph, my slope is representing what? Anybody?
Your amounts of.
Yep, the amount of rice. So it is saying, we'll say goes down by 5 pounds. Oh, probably rice. Rice goes down by 5 pounds per week. So the rice goes down by 5 pounds per week. Number 11, it says your classmate said that the slope of a line through 1, 3, and 7, 5 is 3. What error did your classmate make? So my suggestion to you is just figure out the slope first, and then you can see where the error came in. So we're going to take those 2 points, 1, 3, and 7, 5. And we're going to find out our slope. So M equals, okay, y minus y, so 3 minus 5 over 1 minus 7. 3 minus 5 is a -2. 1 minus 7 is a -6. Negative over negative makes a positive. And remember what goes into 2 and 6? That's 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my slope is 1/3. Now we have to answer the question that was actually asked. So your classmate got 3 and you got 1/3. What happened? Anybody?
You could have made the fraction 1 over 3 and like mixed it up and made it 3.
Yeah. They mixed up the X and Y's. So they mixed up their X and their Y's. So instead of doing Y minus Y, they did X over X. And I will tell you, that is such a common problem. I've seen it over and over and over again, and I probably will see it even this year. Okay. Number 12. Number 12. Okay. Number 12. It says, which roof is steeper? A roof with a rise of 12 and a run of 7, or a roof with a rise of 8 and a run of 4? Okay. Well, if we think rise over run, so the first one is 12 over 7 or 8 over 4. Now remember, steeper means that it goes up faster. okay? So 12 over 7, if I divide that out, that's just 1 and something, right? 1 and change. If I divide 8 by 4, that's 2. So which one's going to go up faster? Anybody?
8/4.
Nice, 8 over 4. Yep. Number 12 is 8 over 4. Okay, we still have like 6 minutes, so we should be able to finish. So we did 1 through 12. Now we got to do 15 through 20. So 15. It says the slope of a line passing through the points 2, 3, and 4y is 3 over 2. What's the value of y? So we have the points 2, 3, and then we have the other point 4y. So we don't know what that y is. Okay, but let's just start setting it up. M equals y minus y. So 3 minus y over 2 minus 4. Okay, I can't simplify that anymore because I don't know what y is. Now you could start plugging in numbers if you wanted to. You could put whatever a is in there, then you could put in b, then you could put c, see what it ends up being. We're going to keep going this way right now. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Okay, but I want this to equal a positive 3 over 2. Okay, well right now this is a negative, so that's kind of an issue, isn't it? Okay, so what we could do is now we want this to equal that. We could either, we could cross multiply if we wanted to and solve, or we can just start plugging in the points like I suggested earlier, which I think is what we should do. So we're going to plug in the y. So if I plug in 9, 3 minus 9 over negative 2. 3 minus 9 is negative 6 over negative 2. That would be a positive 3. That's not the right answer. It's not 3 over 2. So it's not A. So we're going to plug in 6. So I have 3 minus 6 over negative 2. 3 minus 6 is a negative 3 over a negative 2. A negative over a negative makes a positive 3 over 2. Did I get what I wanted? Yes. So my answer is B. Now you could probably should, especially when it's multiple choice, try the other two and make sure that they don't work. But because I am running out of time, we're not going to do that right now. 16, the height of a melting ice sculpture is given by the function h equals 51 minus 1/3 t, where h is its height and t is the time in minutes. How long will it take the ice sculpture to completely melt? So what number can I put in for t that when we want to get out h being 0? Okay, so just go ahead and try them. See which one it is. Put in F, put in G, put in H, and put in J. And now I'm just going to explain the other couple when I'm here because we are running out of time. It says a farmer has 35 square miles of land in the shape of a square. So remember, square sides are the same. Okay, which is the closest measure to each side of the farm. So that is a review from your square roots. So what would be the closest to the square root of 35? Okay. 18, 19, and 20. What I would do, because what we did before is we used that Pythagorean theorem. Let me erase here. And that's how you solve 18, 19, and 20 with the Pythagorean theorem. So just graph them out a little bit. So like, let's say 18 says the 2 points are 1, 5. Okay. And 4, 7. Okay. Connect those up. And then remember to find these two sides here. So how many up did I went for that side? That went up 2, I believe. Or is it 3? I can't even read my own handwriting. Okay, and then over 3. So I went over 3 and up 2. 2 or 3? I feel like I did that wrong. Okay, make sure you graph it better than me, and then use your Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 1, 5, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 7, 1, 2.
18 through 20 is the same, right? Do we have to do the same thing for all of them?
Yep, same thing for all of them, and I feel like I graphed mine wrong. 1, 2. Okay, so I went from 5 to 7. Nope, that's right. So this is 2, up 2. So I have 3 squared plus 2 squared equals C squared, and then I keep solving. Oh, I don't have that on them. There we go. Now you can see it. Okay, we are almost out of time. It is rounding that 11:30 mark. So this is today's assignment. So get those, whatever left, you had like 5 left to do. Get those done if you haven't already started working on them. Tomorrow you have that worksheet for 1. Okay, and I'll make sure that it's not upside down. So let me know if you have any other questions.